Dear listeners, there is a particular kind of tired that doesn't go away with sleep. It's the tiredness of nervous system that hasn't had a quiet moment in years. Um, Not really, right? I mean, notifications, decisions, the next thing, and the next thing after that as well, right? And somewhere underneath all of it, a lot of us are carrying, I'd say, a question that we don't say out loud, like, when did I stop hearing myself? Good to think about, right? So, welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Today, we are talking about something that we don't kind of slow down enough to talk about: coming home to stillness, restoring the nervous system, and what it actually means to reconnect with a kind of wisdom that is not loud or urgent, but has been quietly waiting for us this whole time. And if you have ever felt like you are managing your life instead of living it, then this one is for you. I'm your host Avik, and we have a very lovely guest with us today, who has spent over 25 years helping women move through the life's biggest transitions using feminine wisdom, nature-based practice, and the nervous system restoration. So please welcome my guest, Sharon Ann Rose. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Avik. I'm so blessed and honored to be joining you here today.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us today. And um, dear listeners, let's get into the discussion and stay.
Mhm, mhm.
So, Sharon, something I am coming back to when, uh, like, I think about stillness is like how much we have been taught,
Mhm.
suspicious of it. Almost like kind of slowing down is something that you have to earn. So, on that perspective, like, what do you think that people get wrong about what stillness actually is?
Yeah, I'm grateful you're starting right there because even in your intro, in talking about that exhaustion that we don't even know how to name or understand what it is, stillness kind of becomes that this thing that we have to do, we're supposed
Mm,
to do as a way to create a more spiritually based life. And stillness is not an absence of movement. And that is the thing I think that absolutely floors people. They're like, wait, I thought it meant not moving. It's not it at all. Stillness is actually turning towards the interior movement. And, you know, in all honesty, even in nature, it's really rare that things stop moving. It's rare that life doesn't constantly keep progressing and moving forward. And so there's this way of stillness that we need to begin right there, which is creating a new relationship with understanding what you shared of when we're so exhausted that we don't know how to listen to
mm,
ourselves. That's the place where stillness comes in. It's a feeling. We all know it. It usually comes out when we're doing something we absolutely love.
mm,
And we're like, wow, I feel like myself. I feel like I can hear and understand and follow the truth, the whisper, the inner guidance in myself. And that requires a stilling. I mean, I think more of like a distiller almost of like it really brings things down and brings out the very essence of something. It's a distillation and stillness is inside of that. It's getting to our own inner purity and like you said, that inner wisdom um, that is very much of this world, but not of all the ways we've tried to manipulate, contort, and make the world different than it is. It's of the natural world and it's of the naturalness in ourselves.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So like when someone finally kind of does sit still, even for a minute also, what do you think tends to come up for them?
Yeah. One, the acknowledgement often of what you just said of like, I'm
Mhm.
exhausted. I'm exhausted. I I'm like, you can feel that you've been pushing against your own natural stillness, your own distillation. And then also a lot of feelings will usually come, often the ones around grief and sadness and regret of like, what am I doing? Why am I not touching into this inner stillness, this inner
Mm.
communication with myself and checking in? Like, what actually am I feeling right now? So there can be a lot of sadness, grief, confusion. Um,
Yes.
uh, the way that we can, I want to say, kind of begin to unravel, but question. We start questioning everything. Like, oh my God, if I haven't done this in a while, what the heck am I doing, and why? Why? So a lot of that, deep kind of inner turning over of everything in our lives.
Very true. Very true. So it actually reframes everything. Like, uh, honestly, the idea that stillness is not empty, it's actually where everything we have been kind of outrunning and finally uh, kind of catches up, catches up to us. So, which I mean, definitely, which makes me wonder that what's underneath all that outrunning is in the first place. So, uh, also, I want to uh, talk about all this because I think we talk about the burnout. I mean, this word is very, very famous these days. Like, it's a scheduling problem, too many things on the calendar when uh, maybe it's something deeper also. So, what do you see as a kind of real root of it, like underneath that exhaustion that we were talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fear.
Mm.
One of like, everyone presumes if you go still, it means you're no longer alive. Really?
Yeah.
You're no longer active. You're no longer engaged. If your calendar's not full, what are you going to be doing? All those things we talk about, like FOMO, fear of being
Mm.
left out. All, but at the deepest level, at the most soulful and spiritual level, and so really what this invites us into, it isn't to stop living or stop engaging or stop being very like full and vibrant with our lives. It's about aligning with what is right and true for us. Because when we're engaged and involved with what lights us up, with what nourishes us, what then, doesn't deplete us, where that exhaustion comes from, we have a very full and rich life, but it's coming from this stillness, the stillness of not trying to be other than who you are. And that exhaustion also is a result. Energy is going to deplete so fast if you're just running around doing, doing that, like all the things you think you need to be doing. You start to feel way more replenished and energized when you're doing the accurate things for your life, your soul, and your system. It's really two very different ways of engaging with literally
Mm.
creation inside of you, but then this vibrant, beautiful world around you.
Exactly. Exactly true. Yeah. And, like, there's a quiet version of this that I don't think gets talked about enough. The version that shows up the small moments, like in our daily life, right? So, what does this kind of small moments of or the disconnection from stillness actually look like in someone's everyday life? So, what do you have to say on this?
Yeah, well, I'd like to go back to a point you brought up of the fear of turning towards the stillness, because 'cause we'll feel it throughout the day, but then all of a sudden, the head and mind will come in and say, "Ooh, there's literally a landmine in there. Like, you don't have time for this right now."
Yeah.
And so then we're like, "Oh, shoot, like, what would happen if I just took the 5 minutes to sit and breathe and be with myself or just, gaze at a tree," or it can be anything. Just close your eyes for a minute, do nothing. But we're so uncertain. and thus afraid that if we really turn towards that, it's going to become this tidal wave that will require maybe an hour or maybe literally like months at a time, and we'll go into some cyclone type thing. And so I think what happens is we'll feel it, we'll feel that beckoning call, and we might like just turn towards it a little bit, but then we pull out and we're like, yeah, I don't have time for this right now. And yet, that's where we need to meet it, not with, okay, I will, now turn towards this for however long it requires. No. What we do then is we start structuring. We use the systems we already have in place that filled up our lives with so much activity to begin with, and we start replacing very slowly, literally a minute at a time of just, oh, I think maybe at my lunch hour, I'm going to put aside 1 minute and I won't be on my phone and I'll just sit, you know? And then I'll use my phone, I'll use my timer to make sure I'm doing that. Maybe that's going to be 3 times a day, beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day. So we start creating like sacred moments. It's often the tradition is called sacred pauses. And it doesn't, it literally can be 1 minute, but it starts to activate other aspects in our brain so that that fearful part of us that thinks stillness or what's going to happen in there when we really turn towards it is going to overtake our lives, we begin to realize, oh, it doesn't. It supports it. And it helps us remember, yeah, our own voice inside of there, which is really pretty tired of being overridden and squelched down.
So this is definitely for our daily life, right? When did you first notice this pattern in yourself, like before you had language for it?
You know, I actually really I had a very rich still life for a very, very long time, and it wasn't until maybe in my late 30s, early 40s, when I had published my first book and I began to don some hat or that role that was now you need to be. And I began to do X, Y, and Z, thinking I needed to do all these things to now be this particular role in my life. And it literally did pull on a different part of my brain. And I began, like filling up my days with all the things I thought I had to do to successfully be this role, to be this person. And then it just went on. It went on for a good decade. Um, a and what happened is I totally lost touch. I lost touch with that trust that knows I don't have to personally, with my mind, fill up every moment of my day with expectation, with, presumptions, with all the shoulds that others certainly had told me, but now I was really the one leading that show of like, you should do this as an author. You should be doing that. And it completely demolished that more fluid, creative, trustful aspect of myself and my nature. And it went on for about a decade. And then I just had to start unraveling that and returning to remembering that one, I have all the time in the world to be who I'm here to be. And I can't go pushing some boulder up a hill thinking I'm doing it wrong. And I do really need, my system was showing me, my nervous system, my health. I was having so many symptoms. It was all showing me you have moved so far away from that inner barometer that actually trusts yourself and wants to be who you're here to be. And you got to stop, trying so hard to now follow some false model and role that it was never going to work for me.
Exactly. Exactly true. And um like obviously this really lands because I think a lot of people listening are kind of going to feel that one quietly, like recognizing themselves in a moment they never thought to name. And I think that's exactly why the next part matters so much. Like, uh, kind of what do you actually do once you notice it, right?
Mm.
So, yeah,
Yeah, the noticing is everything, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Then noticing everything. And when we notice, one, we're noticing first just with our awareness, but then we notice it with our bodies. And the body will show us, it's like, oh, this feels different. Like my breathing is different. And usually it's a feeling of like, I really love being who I am right now. Like all is well and it feels good. And I don't feel like I have to push or try. I'm just doing what I love as I love to do it. Often it comes with a bit of thoughtlessness. Meaning, we're so used to the chatter inside, we're so used to the self-criticism, self-direction. So often these moments of noticing and awareness, they come without thought. We're just purely watching and feeling and being. And the more that we notice, the more that we are giving ourselves permission for more of that. And the more that the mind literally naturally starts quieting down, it doesn't mean we're not going to have thoughts throughout the day. That's what the mind is designed to do. But it no longer is going to be turning in on us saying, like, you shouldn't have done that. You should be doing this. How dare you, try that. And that's what the stillness is. It's really coming into a beautiful relationship with who you are when you are in your most natural state.
Right. This might be kind of strange one, but I'm curious that about the long part is not the first week of a new practice, but a year in. So when life gets loud again, um, how does someone hold on to this inner relationship when everything around them is kind of pulling them back into the overstimulation?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's gonna happen. And I think don't fight that fight. And so when it happens, you will, the more that you're giving yourself permission to be in a new relationship with this part of you, the more that you're going to notice. And you'll notice it sooner, you'll notice it quicker. And yet those terms end up not even mattering because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You might go a week, you might go a month, you might go another year, 2 years, a decade. It doesn't actually matter because that still place in us is always there, and it's gonna come back around. It's gonna beckon you back in. And so I think that just this place around really trusting we don't have to be afraid we will be carried back to this. And we'll be reminded. Someone might listen to this show and be like, "Oh, thank goodness. I'm not gonna overly worry about that. I'm gonna give myself permission to be who I am naturally." Or someone, might be really diligently starting to build up a practice of taking pauses, of taking these sacred pauses. And then they go off the bandwagon a bit because life gets chaotic and they don't. But then they're gonna remember and they'll slowly bring it back because again, what feels good in our systems and our bodies and our nervous system is always gonna come back around because it's a tangible somatic experience. And living is a tangible somatic experience. And so it will come back around. And when we're ready, we'll go in a little deeper and our practices will deepen and they'll expand. And then we'll fall off again, so to speak, which I don't even think is falling off. It's just being a human being and refining and refining and refining. And age as well is such a good thing because we naturally get to those stages where we're like, oh my God, it is not fun anymore to be living like that. I can't stomach it. And so, yeah,
Exactly.
so know that it's okay. I think that's the biggest thing. It's okay to presumably fall off the horse, fall off the bandwagon. It totally is. You're going to get back up. You really will. And then that's the question, what will you do with it? And that's your choice. Your beautiful choice.
Exactly. So if you have to give one advice to the listeners today, what will you give?
I'm known for not really giving much advice. So, right there is a question unto itself. But what I would share is what and when, it's more of a question, self reflection. What and when do you notice that you feel really good? That like you just feel like you can exhale and your mind is not overtaking you? Notice that. and notice it again and befriend that moment.
And if listeners wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
To connect with me, great place is my website. And so that's SharonAnnRose.com. You can also purchase my book online via Amazon or any online international book retailers. And my book is Faces of the Mother, A Feminine Path to Embodiment Through Ancient Wisdom, Archetypes, and Soul Fertility. And on my website, there's a lot of free resources, audios, all kinds of great things you can take a peek and listen to, download. And I'm on social media under Sharon Ann Rose as well.
Perfect. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links, details, everything into the show notes for easy reference. And, um, like I'll just say, if there is one thing to carry from this conversation today, is it might be this that you don't have to fix yourself to come home to yourself. You just have to stop outrunning, be quite long enough to hear it. Right. So, Sharon, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. And it's really great to know from you. And for all the listeners, if you're listening right now, um, or maybe you'll be listening later as well. So if something landed for you from this conversation, just be with it and with a kind of little longer than usual today. And if you know someone who's been running on empty, maybe this is one of to send them. So with this hope, this is your host Avik, and this is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Take care of your mind, and it's the only one you have. So it is your home that you have got. So take care of it. Thank you so much.